Our first guest tonight is an Emmy-nominated actor you know from his work in Bridgerton, Fellow Travelers, and Jurassic World Rebirth. He stars in the highly anticipated Wicked for Good, which will be in theaters and IMAX on November 21st. Let's take a look.
You can't leave because you can't resist this. That's the truth.
Well, maybe I can't. Is that so wrong? I mean, who could?
You know who could. We both know who could and who has. And I have to find her, because if someone else gets there first,
I'm worried for her, too. And I miss her. Can't you see she doesn't want to be found? You've got to face it. She's made her choice.
Please welcome back to the show our friend Jonathan Bailey, everybody. So happy to see you.
It's lovely to see you.
I was very hopeful a year ago when you were here talking about part one of the Wicked franchise that you would join us again. So thank you.
And it's the final stop.
It's the final stop.
It's the final conversation about Wicked.
And it's really amazing because, you know, the amount of time you put into making a movie like this, I think people underestimate the amount of time you do press for a movie like this. So this has been a big part of your life, and obviously it helps that it seems at least you're a very close cast.
We really are. Yeah, the press tours are incredible.
Yeah.
For so many different reasons. But, you know, like I was talking to Jeff Goldblum today, and we were doing our final interview together, and we had one day on set, you know, filming.
Yeah.
That was shot over a year, and then and now we've, you know, a beautiful friendship. You're on the road, you travel the world together, you get to share it with all the fans.
That's amazing. With that said, you're probably ready for a break from all of them. I'm just saying, like, it does look like you've all become very codependent, and I think you should all... You need to get out...
I thought you were saying the fans.
No, the fans. Not the fans. I mean, look, I see Jeff Goldblum, like, twice a year, and, like, that's plenty.
Oh... Do you know what? If I could live, I'd live in a little bothy in Jeff's garden and just flip in. He's such an amazing.
I would like to be in Jeff's orbit. I think of anybody I've ever met,
like
I think
some sort of planetary constellation.
Just being able to like observe Jeff Goldblum for like an hour a day. I think.
But he is like he's like the sun. He sort of you know, charges your batteries. And
I think that's why he wears those glasses, because he's so bright his own eyes hurt.
He radiates at such a frequency.
We talked about your nieces and nephews. They're at the age now when I would imagine there's some real anticipation to seeing the new Wicked.
Yeah, they're really excited. They're particularly excited, but I don't know who is more, either me or them, about the Lego pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm now a Lego... There's 2 Lego pieces.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
And a Barbie.
And do they actually, like... That's right.
With really long, luscious hair.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've been on this show for 10 years. All I have is a mug. And let me tell you, what kids aren't excited about, like, who wants mugs?
I'm going to create a little Seth Barbie.
Oh, thank you, I would love that very much. You also, another one, Jurassic, well, you know, you did a Jurassic Park movie. I would imagine that's pretty cool for nieces and nephews as well.
They love it. I mean, they do. They love it. And it's amazing, you know, to be in these films that bring everyone to the cinema is incredible. It's a great honour. And yeah, the fact that it's, like, multi-generational. And I sat in London last week, and I mean, it's such an epic finale to this 2-film sort of extravaganza. And I was there with my family and all my school friends, one of whom you're about to meet.
Very excited
about this. And my niece was there, and I was just watching her just sit there. She was just completely taking it in. And I started crying, and I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And it felt like, you know, after however many years, actors are only in for like 15% of making these extraordinary films. So when you think about John M. Chu and Mark Platt, who's stuck with this for, you know, over 15 years, but for me, it's been 3 years, and that London premiere felt like a real release.
That's really amazing.
And I'm just so proud that now everyone gets to go and experience that.
That's really cool. Are you worried that it did take people out of it when they saw you crying?
Well, especially because I was running up and down, desperately looking for a hug. With my Barbie and my Lego.
They were like, oh my God, he brought the Barbie.
Yeah, in my mouth, rabid, like swinging it around.
But okay, so look, you've worked on very big movies over the last few years.
Yeah.
You've had a lot going on. I feel like you deserve a break. You said this is the end of it. Do you have some time carved out for yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you got any ideas of where I should go? Because I haven't actually booked anything yet.
How much time do you have?
I reckon. Well, I called my friend on the way here. I walked. When you're on a press tour, like even what I walked here today,
Yeah.
I was like, that to me was a holiday.
Great, yeah.
And I called my friend. I went, so I think I'm sort of wrapping up now. Do you fancy going on holiday today? Yeah. And all my friends at home have 9 to 5 jobs, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But I reckon, yeah, we can go away for a week.
Do you like warm weather, cold weather? What do you like?
I think, yeah, a bit of sun would be lovely.
Okay, Pittsburgh. I think you want to go to Pittsburgh. I would do Pittsburgh, 2 days in Pittsburgh, 1 day in Cleveland. You can drive it.
Brilliant. Do you work for Thomas Cook?
I do. But what are the lower level jobs?
Oh, fine, yeah.
We also have Bridgerton coming back.
Yes, we do.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
This must have been like a very interesting few years of like you're constantly, I feel like, working on projects that people, again, we're talking about fans. There's a great amount of anticipation for your work, and I would imagine a lot of overlap in who likes it.
Well, Bridgerton, quite rightly so, is sort of tantric in the way it makes you wait.
It is tantric.
But I was watching the first 4 episodes of the new series to sort of calm myself whilst we were travelling around, and it is so good. And
It's so funny you said that. It's like, what's the sexiest part about Bridgerton? How it makes me wait.
it makes me
wait for
quivering.
new
for years.
episodes. All right, so you mentioned you're going to have a friend come out, and we're going to go to commercial, and they're going to bring him out. But he's a playwright, and he has a show that's going to be on Broadway.
Two strangers carry a cake across New York.
And
And I'm telling you, if there is, I couldn't be prouder, and you'll understand in a minute. But it's the most astonishingly brilliant show, and it's a ticket that everyone should buy over this next season. But we grew up together. We spent our teenage years together, and he took me to see Wicked for the first time, and his brother illegally downloaded the original cast recording. Anyway, so it's just the most unbelievable thing that on Monday we sat and watched Wicked together at the premiere, and on tomorrow I have the great privilege of going to see his show open on Broadway.
well, we're very much looking forward to talking to Kit when we come back. We will be right back with Kit Buchan, which plays open tomorrow, and we'll be right back. We're back with Jonathan Bailey, and joining us is his best friend, writer and lyricist Kit Buchan, and welcome, Kit. Two strangers carry a cake across New York opens tomorrow. But before we talk about that, how old were you when you met each other?
Like 14.
14 years old.
Yeah.
And
I was a young 14.
Did you see
I was a
each?
medium
Did you
14.
see anything in each other that would have led you to believe that the moment you're at right now was possible?
The desperate need to escape the school.
Yes. Yeah. We were in a forbidding school environment.
Okay, gotcha.
I was more preoccupied with rugby than
Yeah.
performing arts.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
we clung to each other.
did you see sort of a sanctuary in each other immediately?
Yeah, completely. Also, I was thinking today how much I just copied your history essays word, but word for word. I mean, with no intelligence. Kit is a ferocious talent.
These are here's a look of you guys in your youth.
That was when we were 21.
It was last week.
These guys, I like. That's great. That's you guys have a really good. I'm surprised one of you.
I
Also-
still have it.
I've just noticed something. Hang on a minute. Can you hold those two up?
yeah.
Look at this.
So we were already imitating one another's kind
Yeah.
of...
Exactly.
This is
each
before.
other's creative orbit.
This is very exciting. Your play is opening tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And how do you
6:30.
feel? What is your anticipation level? I imagine you've had plays open before. How do you feel a day before
Ooh,
it?
not like this.
Not like this.
No.
This is a Broadway debut.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
very much so. It's
Yeah.
my everything debut.
It's your everything debut. This is a show I've done it in London, you've done it in Boston.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a whole different level.
Yes.
You've been in the city for 2 months.
Yep.
And New Yorkers have given you some helpful feedback in a very New York way.
You can't get anything past a New Yorker.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things they've told you about your play that you are grateful to have heard?
Well, we've been making the show for 10 years, and
Yeah.
there's been input from American audiences all the way through that time, but there's still details that can slip through the net. And when we were in Boston, for example, there's a radio announcement at the beginning of the show where a traffic reporter refers to the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway.
Yeah.
And we were sort of, on opening night, I was tacitly told by the sound designer, oh, by the way, no one would ever say that.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, great, could have told me earlier,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
thanks all the same. And there was also a problem with, like, pricing stuff. There's a certain amount of, like, our two characters, for reasons I won't explain because I don't want to ruin it, end up with a source of income that is maybe not their own. And they have a very extravagant night on the tiles. And a lot of the input from New Yorkers was like, that cake isn't expensive enough, that tuxedo isn't expensive enough,
everything,
that hotel
raise
isn't
everything
expensive
up.
enough. Exactly.
It's the most British way, a source of income that is maybe not their own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you wrote it with your other really good long-term friend, Jim
Jim
Barn, and it's a musical. And for those who can buy a ticket, it's on anyone who loved like the '90s rom-coms. It's got such wit and brilliance and charm, and the soundtrack itself is brilliant. So listen to that.
And Johnny, how long ago did you see it then? Is this...
Well, I saw it. So it's how many iterations? It's been about 5. It started in Northampton.
Yeah, Northampton.
And that's where my dad's from.
Oh, I forgot
Do you remember?
that.
Yeah.
Stuart Bailey.
Good old shout out Stuart. And so we went and again, this makes me sound like I cry all the time, but I did cry. Do you remember? And I sat next to you and it was so emotional because we used to make films in my garden.
Yeah.
And really intense films.
Like really over the top.
So we would like have a shoot day on like a Sunday, and then we'd go into the edit.
I'm just so happy to hear you can cry at work that you're not in. I think that's a really... What were when you were making short films as kids? Because I feel like that is such an important first step to like creative, construction. What sort of films were you guys making together?
Yeah, it sounds endearing, doesn't it, in a way? I have a horrible feeling. The one that I can remember was a story about 2 middle-aged Frenchmen who had slept with each other's wives. And then, not to put too fine a point on it, Johnny's character
got
hanged
really
himself.
upset, and I hung myself.
It was at the point.
It was like new wave, but maybe just
was
sort of
very
wave
challenging.
goodbye.
It's still,
my
the
God.
world isn't still quite ready.
What teenage boys haven't made that film?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Weirdly, when you think about like Wicked and the themes of Wicked and friendship,
Yeah.
and you like, despite the fact that it sounded so intense, it was like the most creative couple of
was.
years. And it's like if we hadn't. I don't think we could even think about what we were going to eat for dinner, let alone think about the future.
No.
But my
I had
goodness,
no
if
plan.
you could go back and say then, but we had the best. It was like we were really safe in each other's company.
It was such a generative few years that I sort of credit that time, my friendship with you and with Jim, my co-writer, and my brother Alistair.
Yeah.
Without those friendships, this show, which is sort of about friendship, would never have happened.
Yeah.
And was that, with those early sort of films you guys were making, was that the last time you collaborated professionally? Have you guys done stuff together?
We did. You played Puck and I played Demetrius.
Okay.
Yeah. There's photos of that, but I'm glad they haven't made it. For cinemas.
So what age was that? What was
We went travelling together. I feel like our collaborations have been life, not creative.
Yes.
But I tell you what, when you see this show, you'll understand why I'd be honoured if there was ever a moment to be invited along for a creative ride.
Are you
This is what it's all about. I'm pitching
using this time here to try to get apart? You said this was about him being your friend. I'm very excited for you, Kit. I can't even imagine the anticipation. Break a leg to you and everybody tomorrow.
And it's to say there's 2 extraordinary performances.
And how many?
Sam Tuttle and Christian
Your
Bliss.
2 cast members. How long have they been involved in this production?
They've been involved for a year, and
good.
they are so wonderful, and their relationship with one another is very beautiful as well. It's just so lovely to see them. And without her, we could never have created such a convincing New Yorker.
That's very exciting, and I can't wait. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, Sam.
Congratulations on the friendship. Jonathan Bailey, Kit Bucket, everybody. Wicked for Good will be in theaters and IMAX on November 21st. 2 Strangers Carry Cake across New York. Open to Long Acre Theater on Broadway tomorrow. Go see both of them. Stick around. We're right back with Mary Stevens.